Welcome to the final video in the series of building a simple 2D platformer. In this video, we finalize up our project by adding a checkpoint at the end so you can teleport to different levels. In this video, we are going to create more levels so that the player, once he reaches the end, can teleport to different levels. So what we want to do first is go into our project files, and inside of the Pixel Adventure 1, inside of the items, there is a checkpoint. And then there's a few things: a checkpoint, an end, and a start. We can go to this checkpoint right here, and what we'll see is that there's a flag. These different flags. The ending is a cup, and then the start is it's just an arrow. So what we can do is we can just drag in the start into our hierarchy, make the position something around here where our player is right now, so we can move it back up, and we'll move it to somewhere right here. We can change the scale to something like 4, and then when we have it right here, we can just get the start, and then this will be the start telling us to go this way to finish the level. The checkpoint can be the end of the level. There's a little animation right here, so we can just highlight all of these, create a new animation. We can name this checkpoint animation, and then what we can do is just drag in this little checkpoint into our hierarchy so we have it, rename it checkpoint so that we know that it's the checkpoint. And then we can drag the animation onto this checkpoint game object. We will drag this checkpoint onto the game object so that the checkpoint knows that this is the right game object. If we can move this, the position to somewhere around here, change the scale to something like 3, or we can change the scale to 4 to make it a bit bigger. And then we can move this checkpoint to the end of our level, all the way down in the end. And then down here in the animation window, down at the bottom, if we're on the checkpoint, we can click play and just see that the flag is waving just a little bit when it plays. So what we want to do so we can go to the next level when we hit on the checkpoint is we can go to the checkpoint and create a box collider 2D and put a box collider 2D onto it. And instead of just having a regular collider, we're going to click the box that says is trigger. That means we won't actually collide with it, but we can use a method inside of Unity named onTriggerEnter so that we will know when we enter this collider. We can edit this collider to make it a little bit bigger so that we don't win the level when we're not close to the flag. And then we shall create the code to move to the next level. But before that, we should save up this. We can go into our assets, go into the scenes folder, and we have this sample scene right here. This is the scene that we're in. If we right click, we can let's rename this level 1, just so that we know that this is the first level. And then we can create, or what we can do is we can just take level 1 and then duplicate it. And then if we right click on it, we can go into our second level. Right now our second level is exactly the same as the first one, which is okay, but maybe we want to change a few things up. So let's delete these first few pineapples, and then we just have this one. To know that we've gotten this working, let's add just lots of pineapples right here on this first little platform right there, just so we know that this is a second level, so we can distinguish between the first and second level. If we go back to the first level, we'll go into our assets, go into our scripts, and open up the game manager script so that we can code the code to go to the next level. Once we have our code editor opened, we can go to our player movement script, and then up at the top of this script, we're going to want to add another thing up here. So what we can do is we can type using Unity Engine dot, and then we'll spell this correctly, of course. We will type Unity Engine dot scene manager, and this is just using the scene management inside of Unity, so that means we can switch between different scenes. So what we'll do is we'll go down to the bottom, and we have this on collision enter 2D, and we're going to want to create another similar to that. We can create the on trigger enter 2D method right below this on collision enter 2D. There will be a parameter in this method with a collider 2D named collision. And what we can do is we can have an if statement, and then if the collision, the thing that we're colliding with, and then if collision.tag, and this is the same thing as up here, collision.tag, and then if this is checkpoint, and then if the thing we are colliding with is the checkpoint, we can do the Unity Engine.scene manager, but we have an error up here, and it's not scene manager, it's scene management. So you can actually type that up at the top. So the error will go away, and we'll be able to use the scene management, that inside of Unity. So inside of this, we can do the scene manager dot load scene, and then inside here it's going to look for the scene we want to load. So what we can do is scene manager dot get active scene, and this will just get the scene that we're on right now, and this is a method, so we'll have to call it dot build index. We'll do get active scene dot build index, and then we can just do +1 to that, just to get the next scene in the list of scenes. So this happens whenever we hit the checkpoint. So if we go back inside the Unity editor, and then once it compiles, we're going to add the checkpoint tag to the checkpoint, and then we are going to see if this works by putting the next active scenes inside of the build settings, because it won't actually work right now because we have to add the scenes to our actual finished project, because that is something you do when you finish projects and actually build them and put them somewhere inside of your file directory once you've finished with your whole entire Unity projects. And then we can go to this checkpoint, and what we'll have to do for one thing is to go into this checkpoint and then click the loop time on this animation, so that when we get to this checkpoint at the end of the level, it will animate the whole entire time. So what we can do is we can click the play and then see if our game is working. We have the arrow at the back pointing us in the direction that we should go to try to finish our level, so that we can try to reach the end to see if we'll teleport to the next level right after we touch the checkpoint at the end of this level. When we're inside of play mode, we see that we have our lives, and we have our pineapples. If we go and jump up and I die to the spikes, and then once you get over the spikes, we can get to the end of our level right here. And then once we're at the end of our level, we can see that it's animating, and if we click it, we won't get anything because we're getting an error right here. Scene with build index 1 couldn't be loaded because it has not been added to the build settings. And of course, so what you'll have to do is go up here to the files, get the build settings of your project, and then it'll open up this window right here. It'll scenes level 1, that's the first scene that we have. If we go to our assets inside of scenes, we have level 2 right here. We can just drag in level 2, and then it will add right here. So we have level 1 and level 2. So X out of that, we can X out of this too, and then we can click play. Once this is finally loaded up again, we can try to reach the end checkpoint and then get to the end of the level so that it will teleport us to the next level. Once we enter play mode, we can see that everything's working right now. We can jump over these spikes, and then once we reach the end of our level, we can see if our checkpoints are working or not. So if I reach the end of the level that I made, and then it'll teleport us to this next level. We know it's the next level because we have all of these pineapples right there. Just got 7, but other than that, it's the same exact level as before. There are just a few more things we are going to do, and then we'll be done with this tutorial. So what we can do is we can go into our assets, go into our prefabs, and we see that we have this pineapple right here. We can also drag in the spike. So that means now we can duplicate the spike and have it have the same exact properties that the other spike has, and we can also put it on different levels. Right here we see that we have this level that we created, and then we also created the level 2 that for me looks exactly as level 1. But what you can do is you can just change up the levels, so when you go to the next level, you'll have a whole entire new level. And then with our assets like this, with our prefabs like the pineapples and the spikes, you can change up the levels to make it a lot more different. You can also add a few more things, like all of these traps, like the arrows and all of the traps inside of this trap folder right here. There's also some more player animation things that you can add to the game, like you can add wall jumps and double jump animations to your character if you want those to be added inside of your game. There's also a lot more there are a lot more fruits that you can add to the game if you don't want just one fruit that you chose in a few videos back. You can add some boxes to your game to add to the background and to make it look much nicer. And you can also add some end checkpoints and start checkpoints to the end and start of your levels, so it looks nice once you finish your whole entire game. But other than that, I have completely finished my game, and unless you want to add more things by yourself, you have finished yourself a simple 2D platformer too. Thank you for following along through this whole entire series where we build a simple 2D platformer. If you like this whole entire series, please give our channel a like and a subscribe because it helps us grow. If you built this whole entire 2D platformer, comment in the description, comment at the bottom of the video.